Oh, hi, Big Man. It's a very rainy day, so we're having a nice, relaxing day. But welcome on in, guys. Thank you so much for tuning on in, as always. Today we are checking out Donnie Darko. Now, I watched this movie when I was a lot younger. Definitely did not understand it. But rewatching it for this, I actually really enjoyed this movie. And it made me think about like some literature that I had read when I was in college. Now, we will get into that. I don't have the book with me though. But yeah, so we're talking about Donnie Darko. I'm excited to discuss this one. It's very Halloween-esque, not necessarily horror, but it's still fun and cool. And it does involve Halloween, kind of. So figured as we still mosey on through the month of October, we'll, build our scary up a bit. I feel like we started off with a real big bang with the Blair Witch Project. So this is a more mellow, introduction, but it's a really fun one. And I just had such a blast, like allowing my mind to kind of run while I watched this movie. Just like making a bunch of different references or references again to the literature. And I just found it fascinating. I can definitely see why it has a cult following. But yeah, I think you have to be probably a little bit crazy for it to make sense to you. But I don't know, this movie just like works so well. I really enjoy it. But let me put you guys onto a really good book. So I highly recommend checking out Robert Lanza. He's an author, ton of books, but the one in particular is Biocentrism: How Life and Consciousness Are the Keys to Understanding the True Nature of the Universe. You can see that. I highly recommend this book, you guys. Like, I read this freshman going into sophomore year. I read it a couple times, and it just like really kind of changed how I thought about things in relation to like perception. And it was just a fascinating read. It mixes in like quantum mechanics, quantum computing, which I know sounds crazy, but he does it in a way that makes it very digestible. Like, you're just going after the concepts of things. We're not getting into the nitty gritty of it all. And that's what I really like about it. But it really makes you question just a lot, like our basic kind of understanding of what our reality is and everything. And I think it kind of plays in a little bit to this. So I recommend checking out that book if you're open to like, weird shit. But yeah, so I just wanted to throw that out there. Made me think a lot about that book. Wish I had a copy of it, but I actually used it in my thesis. So yeah, it kind of no longer exists. Donnie Darko came out in 2001. Now, we had a lot of airplane movies in 2001. Just a coincidence. Directed and written by Richard Kelly, produced by Flower Films, distributed by Newmarket Films. The budget was $4.5 million with a box office of $7.5 million. That's all right. It's all right. I feel like it's a big movie. A lot happens. There's some pretty big set pieces. So it feels, kind of grandiose at times. But it also has kind of a smaller production value to it, I think, even though it's not. It just feels very fresh, and I don't know, you don't really see that from like the big labels and whatnot, or recording studios. I don't know what they're called. After narrowly escaping a bizarre accident, a troubled teenager is plagued by visions of a man in a large rabbit suit who manipulates him to commit a series of crimes.
Don't worry, you got away with it. Why are you wearing that stupid man suit?
Jake Gyllenhaal plays Donnie Darko. Drew Barrymore is Karen Pomeroy. Maggie Gyllenhaal is Elizabeth Darko. Seth Rogen plays Rocky Danforth. Jenna Malone plays Gretchen Ross. Patrick Swayze is Jim Cunningham. And Ashley Tisdale is credited as well. Huh? Apparently she plays Kim. But yeah, I feel like a large majority of this movie's cult following probably comes from the fact that like it gives a very honest look into, I'm hesitant to label it with a specific mental health issue, but I would say just mental health in general. I think probably a lot of young men really identify with Donnie Darko, even if not with his actions, just with like the kind of intrusive thoughts that he has. I think that's one thing that when I did watch it when I was younger that I did identify with was like he has a lot of like disturbing thoughts, but if you really sit back and think about it, to some degree I think a lot of people have those same thoughts that he does. It's just we see them acted upon. And not even Donnie knows why he does certain things, but it all seems like some divine justice almost. Like even when he does something bad, it ends up being for the better good. But that's where I think the movie gets foggy. I think we're also being given like kind of a misguided representation of what Donnie's actually going through. I think we're seeing it through the eyes of Donnie, and that makes him inherently an unreliable narrator. But I'm okay with that because I like the story that we get from it. But I also just like, I caught myself sometimes being like, Jordan, if you watched this during the wrong time of year, oof. I could just see this movie feeding into something. I'm sure it probably has in other people. That's why I say, like, I think you need to be a little mentally ill for it to, like, really sit in for you. Because it just kind of plays into that, right? And that's what I love about it. It does it very well. And does it in a way that isn't jarring either, to, like, see it portrayed like that. So I find this movie very, very interesting. I'm sure we'll get more into it. But yeah, so let's dive right on in. On October 2nd, 1988, troubled teenager Donnie Darko sleepwalks outside, led by a mysterious voice.
28 days.
Once outside, he meets a figure named Frank in a monstrous rabbit costume. Frank tells Donnie that the world will end in precisely 28 days. Donnie wakes up the next morning on a local golf course and returns home to discover a jet engine has crashed into his bedroom.
Brother.
His older sister Elizabeth tells him the FAA investigators do not know its origin.
They don't know where it came from.
So I love that, like, we start off with basically almost like this strange time loop that's happening. Like, the movie starts off very confusing, I would say, but also not. I don't know, it does just such a good job of keeping the story going without making it get too, like, fantastical, even though I would say, like, it's bordering on a fantasy movie for me, but I love the depiction of Frank, the creepy, weird, like, melted bunny. I want to know. Just like, why that? There's a second Donnie Darko, isn't there? I could have sworn there was a second one. Maybe I'll have to check that out. Over the next several days, Donnie continues to have visions of Frank. And his parents, Eddie and Rose, send him to psychotherapist Dr. Thurman.
Have you ever been hypnotized?
Thurman believes Donnie is detached from reality and that his visions of Frank are daylight hallucinations, symptomatic of paranoid schizophrenia.
I asked you about school, Donnie.
I think you were fucking a lot.
Frank asks Donnie if he believes in time travel, and Donnie in turn asks his science teacher, Dr. Kenneth Monatoff. Monatoff gives Donnie The Philosophy of Time Travel, a book written by Roberta Sparrow, a former science teacher at the school, who is now a seemingly senile old woman living outside of town, known to the local teenagers as Grandma Death. I kind of like this foreshadowing almost too, like what you'll be labeled if you do think these things. Like, it's a fascinating kind of small glimpse into, I think, a reality that we're all tuned into, but that some people might not feel a part of. I don't know. This movie does such a great job of, I think, allowing room for people that don't feel like they belong to feel like they belong within this space. And I think that's why it has such a heavy, heavy cult following. We're given a main character that clearly doesn't fit into the world or reality that he is in. And we can recognize that in like a real world scenario, but because it's like a movie, we can suspend that disbelief. And instead of this person being almost like an anti-hero, they're now the hero of the story and in their own mind, which I think is validating for a lot of people.
What's the point of living if you don't have a dick?
Damn it, Donnie. Why do you gotta get so smart on us?
Frank begins to influence Donnie's actions through his sleepwalking episodes, including causing him to flood his high school by breaking a water main, to which Donnie almost gets caught. Donnie later starts dating Gretchen Ross,
Oh, I have those too. What kind of emotional problems does your dad have?
who has recently moved into town with her mother under a new identity to escape her violent stepfather. Kitty begins teaching attitude lessons, taken from local motivational speaker Jim Cunningham.
Fear and love are the deepest of human emotions.
Okay, but you're not listening to me.
But Donnie rebels against these, leading to friction between Kitty and Rose.
And pray that your son doesn't succumb to the path of fear.
Kitty arranges for Cunningham to speak at a school assembly, where Donnie insults him.
I think you're fucking antichrist.
He later finds Cunningham's wallet and address. Gretchen and Donnie go on a movie theater date, where Gretchen falls asleep and Frank reveals himself to be a teenager with his left eye hollow and bleeding. Frank then convinces Donnie to burn down Cunningham's house, which he does while Gretchen is at the theater. What a heavy sleeper, I must say she is. He goes out, commits arson, and then comes back and she's just, what'd I miss? I love the character of Gretchen, though. I really do. I think she plays a different side of the coin compared to Donnie. And I appreciate that because I think we see that she has baggage as well. I don't want to say issues, but she has baggage as well. Emotional baggage. Not like Donnie, but he has baggage too. And I think they both recognize that in each other. But I do like that there is such a severe distinction in their baggage. They don't bond because of that either. I think she confides in him and he does the same for her, but that's very different. Firefighters discover a horde of explicit child media at the burned remains. Cunningham is arrested, and Kitty, who wishes to testify in his defense, asks Rose to replace her as chaperone for their daughter's dance troupe on its trip to Los Angeles.
Sometimes I doubt your commitment to sparkle motion.
Now, there is a very interesting chain of events in this movie. It's for a reason. But I enjoy that it's there. It's also very obvious and very clear. I do find it a little risky that it's almost like vigilante justice kind of our delusions will somehow benefit people. But it's a movie. We can suspend our disbelief in that entirely. But I do like how it plays through. Frank gives signs to Donnie throughout the way, shows him where he needs to go, what he needs to do. So, I don't know, I like Frank as a representation for either this higher power that's guiding Donnie or Donnie's own internalized but also disassociated kind of inner monologue. I don't know. It's a fascinating movie. With Rose in Los Angeles and Eddie away for business, Donnie and Elizabeth hold a Halloween costume party to celebrate Elizabeth's acceptance to Harvard. At the party, Gretchen arrives distraught as her mother has gone missing, and she and Donnie have sex for the first time. When Donnie realizes... Going back to this, there's a lot of almost psychosexual tension in this movie. And I feel like any other teen movie would kind of be building up to that moment. But this is not that kind of movie. I think both characters very quickly kind of learn this isn't what we thought it was, almost. When Donnie realizes that Frank's prophesized end of the world is only hours away, he takes Gretchen and 2 other friends to see Sparrow. Instead of Sparrow, they find 2 high school bullies, Seth and Ricky, who are trying to rob Sparrow's home. Donnie, Seth, and Ricky fight in the road in front of her house, just as Sparrow returns home. The bullies and Donnie's 2 friends leave when an oncoming car runs over Gretchen, killing her. The driver turns out to be Elizabeth's boyfriend, Frank Anderson, wearing the same rabbit costume from Donnie's visions. Angered and realizing what's happening, Donnie shoots Frank in the left eye with his father's gun and walks home carrying Gretchen's body. What a crazy, turn of events. It's making me question, 1, what's the reality of things? 2, is Donnie a psychic? Is he a time traveler? How is it that these things are falling into place as we've seen them? And so therefore it's all falling into place for Donnie too. I think this movie treads the line lightly, kind of like Hereditary does, random, but of making you question, is this reality? Is it mental illness? And I love that it keeps you basically on that fence for almost the entire movie. I mean, I love it. I love it. As much as Donnie and the people around him, I think, are questioning reality, his perception of it, we are too, and we're being asked to question our own. I love that. Donnie returns home in the morning. As a vortex forms over his house, he borrows one of his parents' cars, loads Gretchen's body into it, and drives to a nearby ridge that overlooks the town. There, he watches as the plane carrying Rose and the dance troupe home from Los Angeles gets caught in the vortex's wake, violently ripping off one of its engines and sending it back in time. Events of the previous 28 days unwind. Donnie wakes up in his bedroom, recognizes the date is October 2nd, and laughs as the jet engine falls into his bedroom, killing him. Around town, those whose lives Donnie would have touched wake up from troubled dreams.
Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow.
Gretchen rides by the Darko home the following day and learns of Donnie's death. Gretchen asks the neighbor, what was his name? Gretchen and Rose exchange glances and wave as if they know each other, but cannot remember from where. I love this movie. I love it. And I also love how really there's kind of no answer to it. We don't know what's real, what isn't. And I love that. I love it. I've never felt so gaslit by a movie before, but that's okay. Actually, not true. Mother. But I really enjoyed this movie. Now, I'm going to go out on a limb and assume the second one is probably not as good, but let me know, because I'm definitely open to it. I love the concept. I don't think we've gotten a movie quite like this ever since, to be honest. It's just very original and very cool, insightful almost even. And I don't know, I see why this movie has the following that it does. I think a lot of people can identify with Donnie and probably some of the other characters as well. But I don't know, there's just something very fascinating about it. And I think with the inclusion of Frank as this, not an alter ego, because I don't think that's Donnie trying to, disassociate his identity, but I think it's, he has to give ownership to those bad thoughts because he can't take ownership of them himself. It's only once he's, hypnotized is when those kind of suppressed feelings and emotions can come out. So, I don't know. Like I said, I don't want to label Donnie or the movie as trying to represent any specific kind of mental disorder, but they do specify schizophrenia. But I think it does such a good job of artistically doing it in a non-judgmental, I would just say that non-judgmental, non-critical way. And I enjoy it for that. I think it has a lot of tact and it does things very well and with a lot of taste. I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it, but I know a lot of you have. I've gotten many comments about this in the past, what my thoughts on it are. And I got a lot of comments that this one is one of your guys' favorites. I understand why. I really do. It's a great movie. But yeah, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Pretty sure it's on Netflix. I might be wrong on that. But yeah, let me know your thoughts, guys. Like and subscribe, all of that. If this is, your go-to movie, I want to know your thoughts on it. I really, really do. What's your perception of it? What's your perception of Donnie and Frank? I mean, I love their characters. And yeah, thank you guys so much. I hope y'all have a wonderful rest of your day. I will catch you in the next one. Take care.